Welcome back to the second video ever on the Arm Your Friends YouTube channel. I'm glad y'all are back. The feedback on the first video was amazing, so I think I'm going to keep on doing these things. However, the title on this video is not clickbait. By the time I'm done with this video, it will be almost impossible for any firearms manufacturer, tactical gear maker, or any other brand or entity that wants to sell you something to sponsor this page. But hopefully, by the time you're done watching this video, you will have a framework for talking about the current state of the firearms industry, how the game looks behind the scenes, what's really going on, so that you can make smarter decisions for your community. The only thing that I ask in exchange for this information is that you follow along, subscribe, get us on our other social media platforms, drop a comment if you find anything that I say here useful. All right, let's get right into it. So I want to talk about the firearms industry as a whole, like big picture. In the United States, right now, there are an estimated 450 million firearms in civilian circulation. That excludes all the guns owned by the military, law enforcement, and everyone else. That is 450 million guns in the United States divided amongst 350 million people. That's every man, woman, child, infant, people that are the ages of the average age of a Congress. Everyone included, there's only 350 million of us. So take a step back and don't think about that number from a public policy standpoint or whatever perspective. Think about that as a business owner thinking about the business that is making and selling firearms. The firearms industry has a problem. That's that it is extremely captured by private equity interests. If you don't know what private equity is, think of it as a large investment firm that's only job is to buy other businesses. They don't care what the business makes. They could be buying hospitals, universities, uh, electronics makers, cars, whoever. Almost every major business in the United States is on some level partially or wholly owned by private equity. And in the mind of private equity, everything is just an opportunity to increase their profits and profit margins. So take that thinking and apply it to the firearms industry. It's a huge problem that almost every single adult who wants a firearm can get one or already has one, or even worse, will get one and then they'll just stop. The vast majority of people in the United States don't want to be super collectors or tactical bros or any of the things that like we'd identify as, right? Most people want to have their one gun and stop and go to the range whenever they feel like it, hang out with their friends, whatever. And that is the biggest problem that private equity has. And then here's where you come in. You care enough about firearms to watch a YouTube channel like this one. You care enough about educating yourself, training. You probably own multiple firearms, right? So that's where private equity sees the opportunity. They have to find a way to sell you more guns. There's almost no innovation left when it comes to firearms in the United States. There's always going to be some, there's going to be breakthroughs, but for the most part, they're not chasing innovations. They're looking for ways to make the guns that already exist feel a little bit newer so that they can sell you a new one every year. And that looks like what Apple does. So every year, Apple releases a new iPhone. They have their Apple launch keynote. They outline their new features. They bring out all the YouTube creators who are going to review their phones, and then they roll it out to the public, right? The firearms industry works the exact same way. I mean, down to the T. Think about the best example of this. I'm a huge Glock fan. I love Glocks. I'm a huge Glock advocate. But Glock is the one that is innovating in this regard. Find a way to add that generational label to each new generation, make some slight upgrades, and then drop. Their cycle time probably won't be 1 year for new development, but that is where the firearms industry is headed. How can they sell you something that feels slightly newer every year? Because they know that these guns last a long time, but they have to capitalize on that same feeling of status, update, exclusivity, whatever that is being pushed by other highly successful and public trillion-dollar companies. So here's where the influencer and the marketing world comes in. And a lot of you already know about this. This is what we call GunTube. And GunTube isn't some big conspiracy. It is the alignment of incentives between people that very well may legitimately care about firearms, culture. Let me just say that they do. Most of the gun tubers that you're following do care about firearms education. They're passionate about it. But the only way for them to make money and to do this full time is to be advocates for these manufacturers, these accessories. And now, I mean, now it's even mobile games and news services and different subscriptions that they have to push on you to stay relevant in this community. Um, the way that those people are kept in by the firearms industry is now by becoming industry insiders, following that same, Apple launch model. It will be release a new product in time for SHOT Show. Everyone goes to SHOT Show. Everyone's hanging out. They go try these things out. These are the people who get brand new guns essentially sent to them all the time to review, but with no strings attached so that they can be honest. And that is what keeps the engine of GunTube alive. It is the aligned incentives of the fire manufacturers and well meaning YouTubers that want to further this education, who now become tools in the pocket of the private equity industry to sell you more guns, to make you feel like you need more guns. This is why you see the increased production value in a lot of YouTube videos, where it used to be a couple of guys going out to shoot like in their backyard and talking about that. And there's still a lot of that. But that's where you see the higher budgets, the more production value coming into the firearms industry because they are trying to sell you more things. Um, so let's talk about how the firearm industry sees you. If you live in the United States and you own a gun and you're a multi-gun owner already and you train regularly, there's a few things that I can probably tell you about yourself. One, you work a lot. You're the type of person who can afford to buy more than one gun, so you have more than one gun. Two, you have been exposed to firearm media for your entire life. I'm talking about from the time you're in elementary school playing cops and robbers. You were already thinking about firearms. You were already thinking about what kind of gun does this? What's a revolver? What's a wheel gun? What's a Glock? You've been exposed to this media, and then as you got older in your childhood, you're playing Call of Duty on PlayStation, or you're playing Halo on Xbox, or some combination of the two. So you've all your entire life you've been exposed to firearm media, culture, and education. And there's a good chance that you're the person in your community that people know as the gun person. Three, there's a good chance that you see yourself as a community protector, which means you are the person, or you see yourself as a person in your community whose job it is to know these things to keep the people in your community safe. Uh, all of these things are good things, but once you pair it with the underlying sense of anxiety that a lot of us have about the world and current events, which is extremely justified, it's a perfect storm of marketing conditions that these, gun industry, private equity, uh, people can take advantage of. Once you connect those three data points plus the underlying anxiety about the world, you become their target demographic for selling more guns to. If you have all these values and you work a lot, there's a chance that you don't get to spend as much time on the range as you want to. It means that they're trying to figure out how to give you the satisfaction of preparedness, of competence, of readiness through a new purchase. They want you to be chasing the dopamine hit that comes from buying a new gun rather than actually going out, being part of your community and training. So, how do we fix this? The answer is simple, but it's hard to execute. It's to start your own range day. It is to find a standing commitment with you and your friends. Doesn't have to be a lot of your friends, to go out and meet each other and be a part of your community. Having something as simple as a standing obligation to go see your friends, shoot with them, and build those relationships is what makes you safer. Having 50 guns doesn't make you safer, but if you had 50 friends who had a similar level of training, that would make you way safer than spending all that money on a large collection. The other thing that you have to be investing in is being seen by your community, not as the gun nut, not as the hoarder, but as the good neighbor who is there, as someone who has interests aside from guns, but also knows a lot about guns. That type of person in the neighborhood can be approached, asked questions, um, be really seen as a resource, to be seen as the guy who's like, oh, he knows guns, rather than he's the guy who's obsessed with guns because of his Call of Duty fantasy. Those are the two main things that you can do to decrease your dependence on buying guns as a replacement for feeling like you are a part of something. And that decreases your need to rely on consumerism to be part of a community. Uh, the firearms industry and the firearms community are two different things. And then within those communities, there's the communities of people who you actually care about. And arm your friends who care about furthering and pushing you deeper into your community and giving you tools to talk to your community about getting ready. Owning a lot of guns will not make you safer. Having a lot of friends that you train with and knowing how well they're trained, what their needs are, and having real relationships might just save your life. So think about that. Before you buy another gun, there's not a single purchase that's going to make you safer. Only your friends and a prepared community can make you safer. If you found this useful, found this insightful, if you enjoyed listening to me talk for the past like 10ish minutes, drop a subscribe. We're completely independent, so if you want to support us and you're in a position to do so, check out our shop. We make targets and some other cool things. Um, I hope you found this useful. Subscribe, drop me a comment about your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, y'all.